6:36 p.m. Trustee Norwood.
Present.
Trustee Stan Brown is absent. Trustee Tammy Brown.
Present.
Trustee House.
Present.
Trustee Holmes is absent. Trustee Belton.
Here.
Mayor Henyard is absent. And the clerk is present. We have a quorum. Absence of Mayor Henyard, I am requesting that the board make a motion to appoint a mayor pro tem.
I make a motion we appoint Senior Trustee Jason House as Mayor Pro Tem. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
We can hear.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So Trustee Belcher made a motion and Trustee Norwood second to appoint Trustee House as Mayor Pro Tem for today. So now we're getting ready to take the vote. Trustee Norwood.
Aye.
Trustee Tammy Brown.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Belcher.
Aye.
Motion passed to appoint Jason House as Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, and good evening, everybody. I'll ask if we can go right into the agenda and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask former trustee Stubbs if you could lead us in prayer, please.
Can everybody bow your head? Heavenly Father, I come to you today just to say thank you for all that you have done thus far for this village. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for allowing us to assemble here today. Father God, thank you for our families, Father God. Thank you for this board meeting, Father God, and may everything go well tonight, Father God. Thank you for looking out for the residents of this community. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Okay, so we will go into general announcements. I will briefly note, just so we can have it on the record, this meeting was rightfully called by three trustees. We have Trustee Brittany Norwood, Trustee Kiana Belcher, and myself. The meeting was properly posted approximately 3 p.m. on Saturday, given the required 48-hour notice, meeting all requirements for a valid meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'll ask any Board of Trustees at this time if there's any general announcements.
Yes.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to give an update from the Park District that the Blackstone Park, they received the permits, so they will be moving forward. They will start in June, moving forward with what they was trying to do. So they were able to get that done, get that taken care of. So starting in June, their project will start. Also, what's it? March? May? What's today? I'm so confused, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm having one of them days. May 13th. So May 18th, they'll have a lupus walk here also. The park is having a lupus walk, and it starts at 9 a.m. So it was some flyers. There was some flyers around. If you could, make sure that you register. And then July 20th, I know that that's far, but some of us like to actually put stuff in our calendars. July 20th, former trustee Ed Steve will be having his MS walk. There are flyers also, and if you could please register. When registering, it makes it easy to take account of how many people that may possibly attend, so we have accurate numbers with food. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just an update, we are having a deputy register class. The date is to be determined, but I am looking at June the 1st. That's the date I'm looking at. Deputy register class here at the Park District. June the 1st is the date we're looking at. If anybody is interested in becoming a deputy register, please see me after the meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. I have a few park announcements also. The Park District, our favorite Park District, have Bingo Lingo Tuesdays here. in Dalton Park from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. This year, they're also going to continue their Wind Down Wednesdays, where they're going to have live music series. They're looking for food truck vendors, food trucks, retail vendors. So you can contact Dalton Park if you have any questions. Their phone number is 708-841-2111. And for myself, I want to thank everyone who's been registering for our 3rd annual Family Skate Night. I'm super excited, right? Because we know that a family that skates together stays together. So if you haven't registered, please do so. You can contact me, 708-968-4297. There is free, this is a free event for Dalton residents. Or you can email me at bnorwood@vod.org for registration. We're also going to the Chicago Sky Game, so I'm super excited about that. We have run out of tickets, but please tune in on our Dalton Trustees page so you can keep up with our upcoming events. But I do hope to see you out at Family Skate Night. Thank you.
I'm going to pause that for one quick announcement. Miss Julie, I want to ask if you don't mind announcing this event for this Wednesday. Oh, he's right there. He got you.
Park District, I don't know if you had said that tomorrow, 15th, the Wind and the Wind was Soul to the Bone band. It'll be here Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Part of the vendors for the truck drive. I didn't know if I heard the park. You talk about the Soul to the Bone band will also be here.
Thank you very much. I also want to make sure that we acknowledge our host that allowed with the microphones, DJ Golden Groover. Thank you, a Dalton resident, for always being present in here, as well as special acknowledgement for our host overall, Dalton Park District, and all the partnerships that they do. So I see we have Commissioner Sandra Wells in the back, as well as our president, Cleo Jones. I want to give thank you very much for all your continued support. With that said, we're gonna go into the village clerk's report. So I'll pass the mic over.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who were present at last Monday's board meeting, you heard me speak about my minutes not being added to the regular board meeting agendas. So unfortunately, I have to wait until we have a special board meeting to get my minutes approved. And that is not how it should be done. They should be placed on the agenda for regular board meetings. I turned them in time to be placed on the agenda, but they're never put on the agenda. So tonight I am asking the Board of Trustees to approve the following minutes. The special board meeting for Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Regular board meeting Monday, April 1st, 2024. The postponed regular board meeting that took place on Monday, April 8th, 2024, and the special board meeting that also took place on that Monday, April 8th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes that have been read into record by Clerk Key. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, here a motion and second. Any discussion? If none, Clerk Key, please call the roll.
Trustee Norwood?
Aye.
Trustee Tammy Brown? Aye. Trustee House? Aye. Trustee Belcher? Aye. Motion passed. Thank you very much, Board of Trustees.
Okay, there is no old business on this agenda. For new business, item number A, we do not have sufficient documentation to be able to proceed. So I'm going to remove this item off the agenda, but I'll ask board members if they have any comments prior to removal of this item from the agenda. Can you comment?
Good evening, everyone. Just so people may have read it, and I'm just going to give my opinion why this should be tabled until we can get more information. Kasperic has been our CPA for a long period. We have a finance director, or head of finance director, and then we have also our administrative of executive services. That all these three sets of people handle day-to-day operation, our finances and so forth. So when to see something on the agenda that says we have to move money from one fund to another back into the general fund, it drew concern to me, because if you're issuing invoices and you know how to take them out the right line item, why would you be moving money from the motor fuel tax fund to the general fund? And then when Trustee House sends an email to say, well, can we have documentation to back it up? We don't receive the documentation. So Trustee Belcher just feels that until we're able to actually get invoices or more documentation to support why we need to transfer this money from the motor tax fuel fund into the general fund, I think that we should place it on hold. That's just my opinion.
And if I may, I'll add a little bit more, a little more to that as well. Just for additional clarity, the request that was provided to the board is a transfer from a motor fuel tax fund to the general operating fund, which is a restricted fund. Upon receiving that, we did, especially given the financial times we're in, make an immediate request to ask if we were going to authorize this transfer from a restricted fund into our operating fund. We would like a breakout of the items that are going to be paid. How is it intended to be spent? As of this time, we have not received that documentation, and given the board's concern on how spending is going right now, we felt that it's appropriate. So we gave the opportunity for them to share how the expenses are going to be paid. At this time, we have not received it. We are not at a loss, so if we are provided with adequate documentation at a future date, we can reconsider at that time. However, right now, we don't have documentation and don't feel comfortable proceeding under in this scenario. Any additional comments?
One last thing. My only concern is that if we transfer those funds, the vendors that it's supposed to pay, can the check be cut directly to the vendor? Not put in general funds, because they can do whatever they want to do willy-nilly. My concern is that if we're going to transfer that money, that it goes directly to the people that it's supposed to go to. That's a big concern when you're just transferring over money and they still have, access to that money. So that was a concern of mine. If you're going to transfer it, make sure it's transferred and that those checks are cut to go to the vendors that we want to pay. That was a concern of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. This item in particular, I want to say for me, is one of those things which kind of is a pickle when, as a resident, we know that there are people saying that you're going to hear the administration say, hey, we need this money to move forward because we need to there's things that needs to be taken care of, which we understand. But overall, when you have an administration that has a lack of transparency, you have to take a lot of things into consideration before moving forward. So as a team and as a board, we did do our due diligence, and because I did consider it, right? I said, well, hey, if we need these things, let's at least consider it. And Trustee House stated that he did contact the administration, and it was when they didn't respond to him, just stating how the money is going to be spent, because you always hear us say, hey, we understand that money is to be spent. We understand that, but we have to be responsible. So as a trustee and as a resident, I just want you all to know that I did ask Trustee House that if they can provide us with information, if it's not too late for us to make another decision once they provide us with the information needed to make an informed decision. But I just want you all to know that at this time, with the information that hasn't been provided, I'm just not comfortable moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, with that one, we're going to transition to our next item on the agenda, which is item B, a discussion and authorization of ordinance number 24-004, the issuance of $903,000 taxable general obligation bond, series 2023 of the Village of Dalton, Cook County, Illinois, for the levy and direct annual tax sufficient to pay principal and interest of said bonds and approving a tax escrow agreement. I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 24-004. Is there a second? Okay, hearing it, motion and second. If it's all right, I'll lead with discussion and see if there's any additional comments. The need for this, this came up, well, there's two components of it. A few weeks back, Trustee Tammy Brown was notified of a delinquency that the village had with Homewood Disposal for garbage services. Upon getting that notification, Trustee Brown immediately kind of rallied the troops to make sure that we brought everything current with Homewood, because we know that's a big, that's a huge service that we shouldn't even consider playing around with. In addition to doing further research about the status of our payments, the board also recognized that in December, when we did our annual tax levy, we approved the exact same amount of a tax levy, which included the same amount for a bond that would assist with the payments to Homewood Disposal. In every previous year, once the board made that approval, around February to March, the administration would take that, talk with our bond attorneys, and present the board with the ordinance necessary for that bond to be carried out. This year, because the administration could not get an increase in the bond because they requested the board to increase it to 1.4 million, and the board said we're going to use the same amount as the previous years, the administration decided they would not present this information to the Board of Trustees. Subsequently, in researching this, we discovered that we have missed the deadline for this bond to be filed, which was late March, I believe March 27th. However, we worked with our legislative attorney, and the legislative attorney was able to assist with getting an extension as long as we got this bond passed as soon as humanly possible. So that facilitated the need for this urgent and quick meeting that we're calling, so we can make sure that the bond is approved and that keeps us in good standing and good graces with our garbage disposal company. So having said that, I'll ask any other board members if there's comments on this. Okay, hearing no comments, I'll ask Clerk Key for a roll call.
Trustee Norwood? Aye. Trustee Tammy Brown? Aye. Trustee House? Aye. Trustee Belcher? Aye. Motion passed.
Okay, and item C is the discussion and authorization of an ordinance 24-005, an ordinance establishing the position of Mayor Pro Tem. So I will read the ordinance into record. Whereas the Village of Dalton in Cook County, Illinois is a home rule municipality in Section 6A of Article 7 of the 1970 Constitution, State of Illinois, and such may exercise powers pertaining to the government. Whereas the Village Board of Trustees find it in the best interest and health of the safety and welfare of the village citizens to amend the Dalton Village Code and add the appointment of a permanent Mayor Pro Tem. Whereas the village mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard, refuses to attend special meetings, approximately 25 missed, called by the corporate authorities. Whereas Mayor Tiffany A. Henyard has refused to allow village business, except overrides and vetoes, to be put onto regular village board meeting agendas when requested by a majority of the corporate authorities since 2022. Whereas the village cannot continue to service and provide vital services to the residents without the ability of the corporate authorities to conduct the necessary business of the village, and whereas the village is under severe financial distress with the majority of the Board of Trustees not receiving financial records as requested. Whereas there is no village attorney or finance director, and the village administrator is under federal indictment for bankruptcy fraud. And whereas the Board of Trustees must call special meetings in the absence of the mayor in order to attend to the regular business of the village. And whereas the mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard, is frequently absent and incapable of performing the official duties of the elected mayor due to her frequent trips to other states and her refusal to attend legally called special meetings. And whereas due to the emergency necessitating its adoption, the ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately following its passage in publications provided by 65 ILCS 51-2-4. So this would establish a Mayor Pro Tem permanent for the Village of Dalton that will be consistent of the senior trustee unless a majority of the corporate authorities vote to appoint somebody different. So with that, I would ask for a motion that we approve ordinance, which one is this? 24-005. Is there a motion? Okay, motion from trustee Norwood. Is there a second? Okay, I have a motion and a second. I will just comment briefly on this item. This is not a replacement. This ordinance is strictly in the refusal or inability for the mayor to do her duties. It appoints senior trustee to step in and make sure that the necessary documents are signed and village business moves forward. That is the clear-cut intent of this, because we have many cases where village business cannot go forward. We've had to sign intergovernmental agreements with the Park District and other documents, and the mayor just refused to do it. So this is a mechanism that would allow us to keep not normal things moving forward. Any additional discussion on this?
For this item in particular, I think that it's important for us to remember, as what Trustee House stated, this is just in case, but we need just in case at this moment. We have meetings where we're all waiting 45 minutes just to get started, where we have an entire quorum here and we're waiting while the administration adds makeup and gets dressed, and it's just not fair to us. We have to keep in mind that we have ordinances in place that are just not being followed. I know a lot of residents get frustrated because they say, hey, make her, right? But all we can do is what we are doing at this very moment, which is putting the ordinances in place and hope and pray that at some point she decides to follow them. But we are supposed to have 2 meetings a month. As you all know, that we haven't been having that. So when we get to the meetings, we're supposed to have discussion, and as you all notice, we can never get questions answered, even during discussion. It's set up so that as a community and as a board, we have things that's upcoming that the administration says, hey, this may be a great idea, and they're supposed to run it past the board, put it on the agenda. Everyone's supposed to be present. They can have the discussion. We can see at that moment how residents feel about it. And then at the very next meeting, as the board, we can take everyone's thoughts into consideration and we can make the appropriate vote. But these are just things that are not taking place at the moment. So we're going to continue to demand transparency and hope for communication. As of now, for the last few years, we haven't been able to add things to the agenda. But we're going to continue to have meetings here until we can get inside our building, of course. And we're going to continue to show up and do what's right for the residents. So we thank you all for being patient. We thank you all for your love and support. And we appreciate you all. This will all be over soon.
Okay, any additional discussion?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll ask Clerk Key for a roll call, please.
Trustee Norwood?
Aye.
Trustee Tammy Brown? Aye. Trustee House? Aye. Trustee Belcher? Present. Motion passed. Oh, you said present? Yes. Okay, sorry.
Okay, and last but definitely not least, we will go into citizens' address. So anybody that would like to address the board, please feel free to come up. And we have 3 minutes. We have a soft 3 minutes, I will say. I'll wave the phone when you get to going once. Oh. Let's see. Oh, you got it.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor Pro Temp, Board of Trustees, Madam Clerk, residents for the village that live in the village of Dalton. Homewood disposable. That's a really touchy subject with me. And I just have to go on and say it. Because we, the residents, as a matter of fact, mine just went up to $65 for my garbage pickup, and the rest of us pay for our garbage to be picked up. But yet and still, every year we take out a bond that the residents have to pay back with interest, and it's like we paying a double bill
just like the water bill. And I will hope in the future that be rectified, because it's not fair to the residents that we pay double for that. And I will hope to see that the money that we do pay out be put into a separate account, just like the water bill money, so we don't have this problem with wondering whether or not our garbage is going to be picked up, or we, because I know they're taking that money and putting it into the general fund, and Chief Freeman and the rest of them are spending the money, and the mayor is spending the money however they want to spend it. And that's not fair to us, because we're paying the bill. Now, part two of that question is the forfeit money to pay vendors, because that should have been in the budget. And I know you all didn't have anything to do with that. That was Tiffany and them spending the money however they saw fit. Yeah, for the motor fuel tax. Yeah, I know they was taking that money and spending it however they want to spend it, and we the residents shouldn't have to pay for that. So.
Okay. I will comment on for the garbage pickup. We are in agreement. We do want to get rid of that in the totality. I will say that as a board over the last few years, our goal was to gradually reduce it. When we came in, we started at 1.3 million. We dropped it 150,000 one year, and then I believe it was like 200 the following year. So we have gotten it down from 1.3 to 900,000, and the intention would be to continue lowering it. We were faced with a kind of tough challenge. That's why we determined we want to keep it at the same level, use what we had last year, because simultaneously we are getting calls from vendors out of the blue. So we know we're in a bad spot. We have not gotten the financials since September of last year, so we're kind of trying to do some best guesswork given the limited amount of information. Also, you mentioned the funds this ordinance also establishes an escrow account. And quite honestly, it's the only way that Homewood would accept it, is making sure that the levy or the property tax levy goes directly into an escrow account to be paid directly to them, so that we don't have that risk of mismanagement of those funds.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy belated Mother's Day to those that are mothers and mothers of children that aren't yours. To the board, Pro Temp Mayor Jason House, I don't know which way to how it goes, but trustees of the board, and Clerk Keys. My question is, and maybe you can answer, maybe not. Okay, you just passed an ordinance for Mayor Tiffany Henyard because of lack of coming to meetings. What do we do with two trustees that does the same thing? Because it's obvious they're not servicing us, but yet I'm sure they're still getting paid for meetings not attended. So how do we rectify them doing that, or is there something that they can be held accountable for? Because to me, I think it's fraud when you're getting paid for something that you're not actually doing. That's my opinion. You know, so I don't normally get up here and say anything. I listen a lot, but at the same time, my concern is our taxes, because at the end of the day, that's going to affect all of our taxes. Whether you're renting, those that rent don't believe that it affects them, but it affects them because it affects their landlords. Landlords have to pay taxes on their property, so therefore they're going to raise the rent up for the constituents that's here. So I don't know if that's something that you can answer. Is there something that can be done? I'm not sure if you can remove them, but I think I asked the question before. If they miss so many meetings, is there something in the ordinance that can replace them, have them move? But I think you said that becomes an appointment. And I think we probably do better leaving things as is versus getting another appointment, because we don't know what we're getting. We know what we got, and if they don't come, that's fine. But if we get something else, it might be worse. Thank you.
Greetings, neighbors and our public officials. I just have basically a couple of questions, and a young lady alluded to a couple of them. I'm thinking like this. Okay, even though you may not want to remove these incompetent, unnecessary, and worthless individuals, was that too harsh? I'm sorry. Can they be removed from the payroll without actually firing them? Or possibly, is there a way to have, if you can have a mayor pro tem, can we get some trustees pro tem? I think that's my phone. Okay, so there's no way to do that. Okay, well, how about, since we have no access to our city hall, which I have talked about incessantly, is there a way that we could withhold part of our taxes until we get back our own facilities that we're paying for? We're paying for this stuff every time they tell us to go to hell, okay? There has to be some way to get their attention. My thing is, like, people like Freeman, who should have, he shouldn't be running a taco stand as it is, and we all know this, okay? And we also know that if you all get rid of him, she's going to come right back and put him back. My thing is to make her do it. Make her do it. Make her explain to somebody somewhere, if not now, she can explain it to the alphabet boys, FBI, and all the rest of the people, why she kept putting this incompetent, corrupt individual over our tax money. Okay? There is no way someone like that should have that much power over us. We're paying these people. And it's like we're paying for them to abuse us. And at some point, we have to make a strong stand in some way. I know some people accuse me of trying to get us thrown in jail, because I know, but I don't see where we have a choice at some point. We have to do something, put her on the record every single time, and make her explain it down the road, because she has to know, even as arrow-brained as she is, that at some point someone is going to make her explain some of this stuff. So I'm just saying, put some things on the agenda, even though we know she's going to do what she's going to do. But I think we need it on, I think we need it on the public record. That's just me. I think we need these things on the public record, makes the paper trail longer, and that's more explaining that she has to do, and she may have to finish explaining it in an orange jumpsuit. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, my name is Rosie Leftwich. I've been a resident for approximately 30 years. I just have a few comments, maybe three. I agree with Dan. This administration is incompetent. They're unable to solve problems. Smart people know how to get together, communicate, and solve problems. Not this administration. She is a dictator. I'm going to list some things that you already know, but I just wanted to go on record that we know what she is doing, and it will be stopped. I wish she would stop with the gaslighting and her propaganda videos. I don't want to see another video ever. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way. It's a waste of our time, and our time is valuable, and so is our tax money. I Googled what is a good mayor, and I forgot to bring the list to you. But I can tell you not one thing on that list applies to you know who. The problem with our community, with you know who, is that she doesn't know how to obey the laws. She does exactly what she wants to do. It is already in our ordinances that there shall be transparency. Receipts and documents should be turned over to the people, trustees. I can stand here and bring out the bad things that she's doing, but I will not do that. I only pray that God will help us out and stop this mess. Thank you very much.
Good evening, residents. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mayor Pro Tem, Clerk. I'm Cleo Jones, President of Dalton Park District Board of Commissioners, and we have Commissioner Harris in the back and also Commissioner Wells. I just want to thank the Board of Trustees for their diligent job in helping us move the projects of the park along. We were stuck in a hurdle, not getting the permits to get the parks for the kids and for the residents of Dalton completed. So we have crossed those hurdles. So now we have in this very park here, one of the parks has been completed, new playground in, the mulch is in. If you guys get opportunity, stop over and see it. Also, the park on 154th Street is completed as well. We're moving along. We have our major project, which Trustee Belcher mentioned that it's going to happen towards the end of June. That is a major park, which is Blackstone Park. That's right off the expressway. That is going to get a major overhaul. So those permits, on behalf of the trustees who help us cross that hurdle, we appreciate them and all they have done to get this process and get this thing moving. So now the parks of our community is going to get the necessary upgrade. So the mayor, when she shoots at the park very often, you guys hear her stating about sliding boards with holes in them, but how do plastic sliding boards get holes in them? The vandalism that's going on in the park. How does vandalism happen in parks? But when you see something, you must say something. She's the mayor of this town. Instead of her reporting in her report like that, get the police to do something about it. Get the police to monitor the parks. We have security. But our security only goes so far. So instead of her speaking about those things, let's do something about those things. You know, anyone can sit up in a board meeting and sit behind a podium or a desk to say these kind of things, but this is your town. You said that you are for the kids. Let's start doing something for the kids. Help us instead of talking about us. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Good evening. My question is, isn't there something in the bylaws that, oh, did I say that? That covers how many meetings that Andrew Holmes can miss without him putting it in writing? There's nothing in the bylaws?
There is a requirement that you be present and available. There's not a specific number of meetings missed, so it can be pursued or pressed through through court, but that would take court action. It could cost taxpayers money, and then it's ultimately up to the court system on when that would how many to determine deems him ineffective or absent.
So couldn't the trustees have a special meeting to change the bylaws?
It's actually a state statute, so it's not it wouldn't be a bylaw that's determined by the state constitution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I think you halfway answered that question. Is there an ordinance going forth that you could do? Because we can't do anything about the meetings that have been missed. But what about going forth? Is there an ordinance or some way that we can start looking at putting something on the books that X number of meetings missed? I'm asking.
Oh, yes. No, and we have discussed that with our attorney, so I will have to give an update on if the ordinance, because with it being a state statute, an ordinance cannot supersede the state statute. But if we could put an ordinance in that supplements the statute, that's part of the research.
Okay, and I say so that if we do get it and it doesn't affect your salary, knock theirs down to $2.99. Okay, don't that sound good?
$2.99?
That's about how much work they're doing. Okay, but no, all jokes aside, I wanted to bring up, some of you I'm sure were at the tea on Saturday, and Trustee Belcher invited the architect for the building at 150th. And I honestly believe he was a plant or a fraud. And I say that because I reached out to him some hours ago with the phone number that he gave me, no company name, just his name and an email and a phone number. It sounds like it went to a personal phone. I asked for the name of his company and his licensing number with the state, because we have researched and searched and had people look. He's not listed anywhere. I also reached out and spoke to Mr. Davis, the engineer that did the inspection, who put that stop order in place. So she ain't lying, I ain't lying, he ain't lying. There was no permit, and not one brick should have been moved until a permit was on that building. And I got that from him. So if anybody want to see me by what I got to say, I'm going to be here in case we got some plants in the room. I back up everything I say. What do we do to put a stop order on that work? Because they were working today, and they've been working ever since that came out. And he says he should be paid by the village because he was hired, unfortunately, by Keith Freeman. So that's our bill. And if that's our bill, and he says stop the work, then the work needs to be stopped.
Oh, yeah. I'll ask board to chime in too. I would agree he should stop. I mean, from the board standpoint, we would have to notify the code enforcement as well as, code enforcement as well as the police. But, we would have to notify code enforcement and the police for enforcement and stay on top of them no, we would have to stay on top of the police and code enforcement to. Oh, damn, I was right when I was getting good. Yeah, and that's really the dilemma that the board is in.
But we got to figure out, we got to do something. Oh, now you want me to play with it again? Okay. All right. We got to figure out how to do something. You know, originally it was protest. Well, I ain't for a whole lot of marching. I got a bad knee. But we got to do something because we're getting too many answers. It's this, it's that, I gave you this, I gave you that. Nothing seems to be real. I was told that OSHA has to be called by either the person that's over it, you know.
OSHA doesn't come out.
Just for Joe Citizen.
Right. It has to be a worker calls in or the contractor calls in and say that facility is unsafe. I spoke to OSHA. So no, they gave me a number to the U.S. government to call, USA.gov to call. But OSHA doesn't deal with it. It has to be a worker call that they say that this facility is unsafe, I work here, or the contractor has to say that these grounds are unsafe. But OSHA cannot do anything.
Now, I understand you guys are working really, really hard, and we keep pressing them to do something, and I don't know what we can do, But somebody's got to get together and find out how we start combating this. Because just sitting here, as the lady said Saturday, talking about it, we'll be back here next month talking about it again, and the building will still be there until it's full. I'm against the building. I told the owner that. But the building is there. I got to deal with it. But it needs to be done right, decent and in order, because we don't want to be on the news for one of these catastrophes. And if he is the architect and sits here and says there's nothing wrong, and the engineer that inspected it says there is, who we gonna believe? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no additional citizens address, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Hearing a motion and a second. Clerk Key, please roll call.
Trustee Norwood? Aye. Trustee Tammy Brown? Aye. Trustee House? Aye. Trustee Belcher? Aye. Meeting adjourned at 7:22 p.m.